In this episode of Paper Hats, we'll be constructing our very first build on this massive island, which also turns out to be one of my biggest builds yet. I'm Dr. Jankovic, and you're watching Episode 7 of Paper Hats Season 4. In the last episode, we were able to get Elytra and Shulker, so building this is going to be an absolute breeze. Most of the Paper Hats members on the server now know what this build is, and they have a general idea of what my base plans are. But if you have no idea, I'll go ahead and give you a little bit of a hint. I've been very secretive about it so far. In case you're a fan of the video game The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, you may recognize this build once we start building. If you do, let me know down in the comments and tell me what you think my base plans are. The very first step to this is going to be removing this warped fungi thing over here. It looks awful. And I needed some stem for this build, actually, and it's just sort of been sitting here since the last episode. So let me go make a diamond hoe, we'll get this taken down. And that looks much better. You know, I love the crimson and warp blocks of the nether, but when you farm them, the residue left behind just looks awful. But I was lucky enough to find an Efficiency 5 book in one of my chests, so I made quick work of it. Next on the list, I'm tired of eating chicken and random things out of my storage system, and if I'm correct, steak is actually the best survival food you can have. It may not give you the saturation of a golden carrot, but when you're just building and things like that and don't really need to regenerate health, it lasts you the longest. It keeps your food bar filled the longest. Be sure to smelt that up. And there we go, an entire stack of steak that should last us for the whole build. And if you're wondering why I'm using a horse instead of my elytra, it's because I refuse to let my horse be forgotten about. These guys were so useful at the beginning of the game. We used them for over a month. Seems a shame just to forget about them. But it's time to stop procrastinating. We have our blocks. I have my steak and my hot bar. It's about to be nighttime, so I'm going to take a quick nap to be well rested. Let's get this build done. I always have so much fun making those time lapses. I hope you enjoyed it. But look at this tower. It turned out absolutely amazing. And honestly, flying around here just doesn't do it justice. Let's look at it from a different angle. And now we're at the very bottom of the tower. I had to move it up a few blocks, as you saw in that time lapse, because I didn't account for all the paths and things we're gonna make, but this is how high it's technically gonna sit. Just look how tall that is, and I don't even think that does it justice. Give me just a second. Now from this angle, you can see myself all the way down at the bottom of the screen. I'm just a tiny little dot. This thing is absolutely massive. Now you can probably tell why I was excited to build this and get a storage system in it. We're gonna have all the storage this season. But as you can probably tell, this video is only getting started. And I can't just leave it supported by a single cobblestone pillar. That would just not make any sense. So we're gonna have to connect it to the ground somehow, and also I would like to get at least a temporary floor in here. That way we can start planning on where we're gonna put all of our chests. But before we do that, we do have a giant mess over here, and I'm not sure which resources we have and what we don't have. So I'm gonna spend just a few minutes cleaning this up, and I'll see you in just a second. And we're back. I've got it a little bit cleaner over here. The main thing was getting these straight chests that were here in line with all the other ones and looking just a little bit neater. But looking at all the resources that I have a ton of stone, and I think the first logical step is to give the tower a floor. I think stone bricks is a really good neutral floor for now. Maybe in the future we can get fancy with some calcite or something. But for now, I just want to make it look relatively normal. So let's load up on these stone blocks and get this floor put down. Well, we got the floor put down, but we do have a bit of a mob problem now. I'm gonna have to get some torches down. I might be a little bit like a pin cushion now, but we got this whole place spawn proof. And the next thing I want to focus on is actually getting this thing connected up to the ground. So I think what I'm gonna do is take some more deep slate brick, maybe make a little bit of a ramp, then maybe mix it up with some stone brick slabs, make even more of a little ramp. It'll go down to a path and eventually hook up to the ground here. I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud, but let me get some blocks down. We'll see how we like it. I decided to go into free cam to get a better look, and I do like the shape of this. I decided to add in a little bit of a grass border around this base so we can have just a little bit of greenery. And it just staircases down slightly, comes over here, and there's actually going to be a bit of a stone border all the way around. But this path here, it does look a little bit like a V. I think this path needs to be wider. And also, this is not going to be a netherrack path, of course. I think what I'm going to do is grind for some more quartz and use some quartz brick. I think that'll look really, really nice and clean for a path, but it just needs to be a little bit wider. You might be thinking that this is a lot of work I'm talking about to circle this entire tower in this path, but I think it's got to be done. It can't just stay floating in this episode. So I say we roll another time lapse. Let's get on with time lapse number 2. Well, I think that went really, really well. I was worried about the quartz kind of washing out and blending in with the tower, but I think we have enough gray and dark gray blocks to contrast it out nicely. However, this path is nowhere near done. There are a couple things that I want to sort out. Namely, this entrance here. We're going to have to make a cool door, even though I've made a nice little design there. That may actually go away because I kind of want a big wooden door, make it look official here. And this path here, I just sort of smoothed it out with some stone bricks, but I may want to try some smooth stone slabs, and I want to have maybe some lamp posts here that go at the end of the path. I'm not sure. I'll probably brainstorm that on stream sometime soon. However, the main point of this was to actually connect the tower to the ground, which we've done really, really nicely. Just ignore the fact that there's currently no way to get up to the platform. It's just a perfectly circular platform with no staircase up to it. That'll probably happen in the next episode along with the other detailing. I do have a question though. Have you noticed it yet? If you haven't noticed it yet, I'm a little bit embarrassed to say, but I had a bit of an accident. I lost everything in my inventory, including my gear. You see, what happened was I was working on this platform. I was getting my stuff ready. I got my camera account open, and I was sitting over here. However, I was standing somewhere over here and got distracted, walked away from my computer for a few hours, and unfortunately the phantoms got me, and because my camera account was up there, it kept the area loaded and everything just despawned. My elytra, my trimmed armor, everything. Now, luckily, I did have a whole lot of gear left over from my in-busting, so I was able to get some pretty good gear on myself, and I had one extra elytra. We're gonna have to go to the end and get another elytra. However, the worst part of this is, I have no netherite whatsoever. I used every single one of my ingots for my last set of gear, so we're gonna have to go to the nether and get a whole bunch more ancient debris. And I realize all this early game gear gathering and all this is super boring, so how about we roll a montage? I've got some really good news. First of all, I was able to get most of my stuff back. I don't have netherite tools anymore, but I was able to get my netherite armor back. I kind of messed up. I forgot that I didn't trim my helmet the first time, so I did trim my helmet. And because of my resource pack, I now have this weird looking halo around my head. I mean, it's kind of interesting, so I may keep it for a while, but I'm gonna have to figure out how to modify my resource pack to get rid of it. The other good news, however, is I was able to get all those chests broken down and put into shulker boxes here. I guess you could call it neat, but this is about as neat as a chest monster get. And we have a temporary portal here in the middle of the tower. And of course I have my bed and ender chest, the two most important things. And I've also had a change of heart. I don't think this central building is going to be our storage system anymore. Sure, it's a big, nice central area where we could put a bunch of chests, but I kind of want to decorate this. It's going to have multiple floors. It's going to be a big palace of sorts. It's going to look really nice. And also, this island is actually going to have multiple districts that surround the central tower here. And one of those districts is a market district. It'll sit around back here somewhere, I believe pretty much in line with this. This is where our old storage used to be. And I had a crazy thought. What if we focus on the market district as one of the first districts we try and complete? That will give us a chance to make a shop for each category of item. For example, if we were to make a building shop or a construction shop, we could put all of our stone, wood, building supplies in there that we normally use. And then, on the other hand, we could have an armory where we keep all of our extra gear, our tools, things like that. We could have an adventure supply store or something where we can keep all of our rockets, food, all the utilities we'll need when we're on the move. And we can get really creative with it from there. Let me know what you think of this idea. I think it's going to be a lot more interesting than just keeping every single thing in the tower. And you know, maybe the tower is where we keep all of our treasures. So we can keep our diamonds in there. Maybe we make some displays for some rare things we come across. Long story short, I'm getting very excited about this build. The next step, however, is going to be figuring out the paths and the layout of the city. And then we'll have to build up some walls. And then from there, we can start working on the districts. That's easier said than done, but I'm looking forward to it. With that being said, however, I think that's all the time I have left for this episode. Guys, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for being here. I know I can ramble on sometimes, but I'm glad you made it this far. I always like to leave you with something to look forward to. In the next episode, we will be making a wither rose farm. That involves a wither cage and some dangerous things in the end, of course. And from there, depending on how much time we have left in the episode, I hope to make a shulker farm so we can supply all the other paper hats with unlimited shulkers. I'm so excited. But remember to like and subscribe if you like what you see and want to see more. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.